Welcome to another accessibility audit. Today we're going to be looking at Fragments of Dread, False Haven. It's an indie horror game that recently came out on Steam. It is free to play. So the first thing in the settings, there's no gamma adjustment or accessibility menu, which I didn't expect a game of this size to have an accessibility menu. Although not being able to adjust the gamma is going to be a problem as you see this game. It is going to be very dark. It is just as dark for me playing as it is for you looking. So I didn't adjust that at all on the video. It starts off with text. Again, there's no audio at all accompaniment. That's an automatic accessibility issue. Having the spacebar navigation, great. However, as I was using it to try to trigger the next phase into the game or trigger dialogue, it didn't work. So I had to spam it to get it to kind of like click in and move to the next thing, which is it's a technical issue, but it creates a significant disability barrier. And since there isn't any remapping options, there's no remapping options on the controls, that also limits accessibility. So if you need to be able to trigger something with a mouse or trigger something with a different key, it's just when there's no remapping, that's a significant barrier automatically. So loading into the game, the first thing I noticed was how dark it was. There's limited light sourcing, and there's also the chromatic aberration. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. It is like a film grain that goes on top of the game. It's honestly, in my opinion, it's just for aesthetic. It doesn't serve any other purpose other than to make me sick. So automatically, because of that, this is not accessible for me as someone with a vestibular disorder. This is going to trigger motion sickness. It could trigger vertigo. It can trigger, for those with photosensitive seizures, it'll trigger that as well. There are moments in the game where it froze and kind of like stuttered back into place. I did put it on low settings, and that didn't seem to make a difference. It's not a super heavy game to run, so that's definitely just a technical barrier. I would say that a lot of the issues with this game will not only impact people that are disabled, but it'll impact everyone. I think a lot of times people don't realize that accessibility benefits anybody playing your game. Because if your game is not accessible, chances are, even if someone does not identify with a disability, they can't play it either. Like, the game being dark is a physical barrier for anybody playing this, not just people that are disabled. So having limited light sourcing, uneven light sourcing, and having the film grain over the top, this, not a good idea. Terrible. The mechanics of it not always working also creates a serious barrier. Not being able to remap your keys is also a problem. For motor if you have any kind of motor disorder, like for me, for example, I have issues with my hands due to arthritis and then due to a couple other things that I have. And I'm not always able to use just the keyboard or just the mouse. So not being able to move the controls where I need is definitely an issue. The directionality of the game, there's no tutorial, but to be honest, this one does not need it. It's a pretty clear concept. However, knowing where to go is a problem. I do find myself getting lost in games where there's no clear like directionality. This game gives you a task, but it does not keep it up in the corner, and you have no way of looking at it outside of that. and it's actually quite quick where it says what to do. So if you have any kind of cognitive processing disorder like myself, this is going to be a barrier for you with this game because you have to be able to quickly spot it and instantly remember what you need to do. And you have to know where to go. So I got turned around. I got lost just being like, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do? I think that if the lighting would have been better, it'd be easier to see. The darkness of this game is just that needs to change, please. It is too dark. I did not adjust the video at all so that you could see how dark this is. The key mapping is a bit strange. I'm not used to item interactions being on like F, so like opening doors in this, it's on F. I'm used to those being on like E, so I'm not sure the logic behind putting it on F. Just I don't under just out of how games normally lay out. That was a strange choice. It's not necessarily good or bad. It just threw off my ability to work with the game because it requires a lot of learning on the spot. I think that the main things this game needs to fix: get rid of the film grain, the chromatic aberration, take that off. That, if you don't take it off completely, give an option to disable it because this is very sickening. I got sick playing this. And the length of this video is the length of time I played this. It took a little over 8 minutes for it to make me sick. Absolutely. Vestibular disorders, if you have a migraine condition, I would be very cautious even attempting this game because of that. Secondly, it needs to have some kind of voiceover or text to speech. It doesn't, just some way for there to be an audio of the instructions and of the story. Need a way to look at the task that you have to complete and trigger it again so that you're able to see what to do. Near the end of the time, I went outside and I'm trying to throw the trash away, and there's no trash can by the house. There's nothing that tells me where to go, what to do. So I just kind of started walking around, and the trash can was in a very obscure, random place at the end of the street. Why? I have no clue. It just was very confusing, very frustrating, and very sickening. Unfortunately, for accessibility, I have to score this one at a 0 simply because it is unplayable for me as someone with vestibular disorders, among other things. So I definitely hope that the devs fix some of these issues, add some options for the gamma just to make it brighter. I don't know what this really couldn't get into the story. There's no immersion that I could do because of how it's set up. So, yeah, I unfortunately have to give this one a 0.